I am looking at a picture of the market square posted on Facebook by the Grenada National Trust. And it brought back so many memories, fond memories of the market square in George's Grenada. The famous market square where during the time of Julian Ferron, people were hanged. Yes, people were hanged by the British right there in the market square. So I'll talk about the market square, especially for those who were not born when the market square looked like this. If you look carefully, you see that building there, the town hall, marked the town hall. And of course, you cannot see what was known as the depot or the breakfast shed. I'll tell you about that in a little while. I vividly recall the St. George's Market Square and the vital part it played in our lives. The small pitched area bounded by Hillsborough, Granby, Grenville, and Halifax streets is still very important. It was not only the place where farmers brought their fruits, their vegetables, flowers, spices, etc., to be sold, but it was also the temporary home of the parked buses, a central stage for political meetings, and at times the venue for an entertaining film show. It was also the location of the district board and the breakfast shed and the site of many a religious service. Somewhere in my mind, the tooting of the vehicle horns still echo, and I can still see in my mind people squeezing their way through the closely packed Austin, Bedford, and Morris wooden buses. This will bring back some real fun memories for certain people. You remember the Bedford buses? The wooden buses? I still see the women busily attending their goods in the shed-like structures that were erected there. And when the rain fell, people were glad to seek shelter within those buildings in the market. I still recapture scenes of the stalls and the tables that held the grung provisions, the oranges and the soursop, the sweet potatoes, mangoes, bloggers, and green fig. And I picture the character known as Dummy James toting a heavy lard pan, which he gently sat in the back of a wooden bus. Then he receives a small fee as payment for his effort. You see, Dummy James worked hard for his daily bread. I still spot the tourists picking up the nutmegs and the cloves and sniffing the fragrance. Yes, Grenada noted for the spices. I smell the blood pudding cooking and the corn roasting in the market. I hear the loud commotion as a customer and a vendor clash over the price of coconut. The market square was especially busy on Saturday, and that day was called Market Day. Still busy on Saturday, and the people came out in great numbers to pick the best of the crops that were on display. The fresh fruits and the vegetables came from various parts of the country. And of course, the early bird got the best worm, which was to be expected. My brother George Riggs, rest his soul, rest in peace, he once made a ball's wheel cart. Well, ask Granny to tell you about a ball's wheel cart, or Grandpa. He made a balls wheel cart which he used to carry the goods my mother bought in the market. And when we moved to Cooper Hill, an area further away from the market square, she began taking the one more buses to transport their stuff. Some of the bus drivers were so kind. I have to talk about that. They were kind. They veered off their regular route and dropped my mother as close to her door as possible. And when she placed the appealing bananas and the golden apples on the table, I just smiled. The wooden buses stood in neat formation, and there are pictures of wooden buses not captured here, but they stood in neat formation, side by side, in designated sections of the market square. Policemen and women were there to enforce the rule. The St. David bus in one area, the St. Paul's buses from Victoria, Guelph, etc., were in their own spots. And the people climbed into the buses and waited until the driver felt they had enough people to hit the road. The rear part of the buses were often loaded with bags of flour, sugar, rice, and other things that people bought in bulk to take to the country parts. The wooden bus was an important method of public transportation until its reign on the streets was put an end in the 1970s when a small number of small Japanese buses made their appearance. I've already spoken about that and written about it in my book, Recollections of an Island Man, which you can find on Amazon. Those small buses took over the streets and they took over the market square. The taxis lined the outskirts of the market. The market square was a place where people gathered to hear political meetings. Politicians speak of their plans for the country, and the platform where they castigated each other over the microphone. I remember a certain political person saying, a politician, "Everywhere I go, I see Mr. Blaze. He keeps following me. When the result of the election is out, Mr. Blaze will still be following me." And the people laughed. I also recall another politician asking, "Where the hell all the money, the nutmeg money gone?" You think thieving just that? Why, they used to thief all the way back then. A Calypsonian composed a song using the words, "Where the nutmeg money gone?" We good in we class, you know. I still hear the loudspeakers blaring the famous words, "Tonight, tonight, tonight, in the market square tonight, come and hear the Honorable E.M. Gary." And on other occasions, "Come and hear Mr. H.A. Blaze." Yes, on another occasion, the call was for people to hear the Honorable Herbert Blaze. The cars with the microphones mounted on top traveled around the city, and someone implored the people to attend the political meetings. When people flocked to the meeting, they stood up and listened and cheered or booed. Well, in them days, rotten eggs used to pass through, you know. Yes, sometimes a rotten egg became a missile that interrupted the political meetings. You remember one time, somewhere else, a politician passed right through a political meeting, with a steel band. Who remembers that? I think of the occasion. My mother took my brothers, and she took me also, to see a film show in the market square. The film show was a popular event then. Well, we didn't have television and all that stuff, and internet to see all the movies there now. We didn't have that back then. So it was in the market square that I first saw Charlie Chaplin on the screen. All them will be saying, "But that guy old, we." I don't mind being old, you know, as long as I look old. I remember how much I laughed at his funny antics on the little silver screen they set up near the district board. We had to stand and look, and we were contented to do so. There was no other choice. We stood there and we laughed our hearts out. The market square was an important place, still is, where many of the very important social needs of the people were addressed. The district board or town hall, a sort of borough council, something like that my friend Hudson George always keep advocating for. Town hall. It was from there and attended to the local matters for the needy, well as sanitation, for instance. Below the district board, on the side there, was a breakfast shed, which provided breakfast for school children whose parents were not able to adequately provide for them. You see, they used to feed the children before they went to school. That was something good, eh? Some children, their parents didn't have much to give them. So they went to the depot. They went to the depot or the breakfast shed and they get, well, cocoa tea and bakes and them kind of thing. Here the students lined up on mornings and waited until the names of the schools were called. Well, I must say that, I had to confess. Curiosity got the better of me once and I went into the breakfast shed and I got a cup of cocoa tea. There were students who ate at home, but they're so damn greedy. They still headed for the breakfast shed. What do you expect? Yeah? Children, we do all kind of things. In those days, you're talking about the 60s, 1960s, the big church meetings or what was called revivals were held in Queen's Park. But the market square was also the scene of many a Pentecostal and other evangelical services. The people stood on the paved ground and listened as preachers issued the call to repentance. Let's talk about Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, man, the market square was busier than any Saturday. And many of the tables were packed with toys to catch the attention of children. And when your father and mother give you $1 or $2 to go and shop, you felt that you were in heaven, big money in your pocket to buy toy guns. And we had toy guns, but we never grew up killing people. There were toy guns and balloons and dolls and starlights and little toy cars and many other toys. It was customary for parents to give their children a few dollars to go shopping on Christmas Eve, and many of them ended up in the market square to purchase the starlight or the toy gun. They bought the toys and then headed to the area around the market square to see what else the people had on their trays to sell. When night fell, boy, we used to head for the cinema to catch the special show. We even had a midnight show. Whenever I return to Grenada, I visit the market square. I always go there. One time I met a guy, a friend, who became my friend actually. Always had soursop for me. When people couldn't get soursop or mangoes, I don't know where he used to get it, but I used to get it from him. Now the old historic houses still embrace the area. That area around the market square, St. George's had two big fires in the 18th century. Two big fires. But that's a story for another day. Yes, the historic houses still embrace the area. The buses are no longer parked there. You ain't gonna see the buses there anymore. There's a new place there by the Esplanade where you see the small buses are always parked up. But you'll see the coconuts and the fruits and the ground provisions and still sold there. But the breakfast shed and the district board are long gone. The noise and the bargaining still remind me of my childhood experiences there. And just like a tourist, I pick up the cinnamon, I pick up the nutmeg, and I put them to my nose because I like the smell. I purchase them, stuff them in my bags, and carry them to my friends in New York City. The funny thing, when I go to Grenada, I'll buy cocoa and nutmeg and all this stuff and so on, and in about 2-3 weeks, and I'm on, because I like mommy. I like that. My mother, Georgiana the Riggs, I like to share. Sharing is something that I like to do. So I give away the cocoa and the nutmeg and stuff that I bring up. So a little story here about the market square. God bless, God bless, God bless. I like to share my stories so that when I'm gone, my children, grandchildren like Sophia and Alexander, will be able to read or to listen, because I put it on cyberspace, and know what my experience was like growing up in Grenada. Anthony Wendell the Riggs.